No,
because
absolutely.
I know that's a consistent theme that President Riccobono likes to emphasize. And I have no
Definitely.
advanced idea either. So there you go.
We are about to start broadcasting on YouTube Live. So if you'd like to listen that way, that's going to be starting, or maybe already has. Again, I don't have my computer, but I did get a text saying that it's going to be starting. So that's exciting. Thank you. I don't know if you guys thanked the captioners earlier when you started.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We should definitely thank our captioners.
Thank you so much.
That are using One Tap app or appreciate the work that our captioners have been doing. It's so wonderful that we can include more people in that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is about 3 minutes to the gavel. So I'm guessing, Chris, that we're going to get interrupted pretty soon by our COVID announcement, but it was great co-hosting. Right. Are you you're co-hosting tonight too with me?
I believe I am.
Excellent.
I am. I'll have to double check, well, but you will have a co-host. I know that for sure.
I look forward to talking with you. And here's our announcement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa.
Have a good one.
The afternoon session is now in order. We got a busy session ahead, but let's have a door prize to kick the afternoon off.
Yeah, we got lots of door prizes left in this excellent convention. And the virtual participant, David Feynman, if he writes to prize at nfb.org, you'll get a $30 gift certificate if you do it within 30 minutes. So Dave Feynman is the next winner there. And the winner of $100 and a plaque here is Bethany Charles from Louisiana.
Bethany Charles, are you out there?
Are you here? They say no thanks.
Okay.
How about Richard Tapping of Florida? Tap that. Nobody there. Oh, how about this one? James Brown of Tennessee. Hey. Good God, y'all.
Did you find him?
James Brown, are you here? Okay, he's not here. How about Glenn Crosby of Texas?
Glenn Crosby.
Got him.
Okay. Well, we just gave away a plaque, so let's give away some other awards. We're getting ready for the 15th annual Dr. Jacob Bolotin Awards. And here is our chairman for his first in-person presentation of the Jacob Bolotin Awards. Committee Chair and Secretary-elect of the National Federation of the Blind, Everette Bacon.
All right, welcome Federationists to the 15th Annual Jacob Bolotin Awards. Are you excited? All right, I know I am. Okay, so, how many of you in this room have read The Blind Doctor? Good, I'm glad to hear it. It's a fabulous book about a man who has faced so much adversity in his life, from starting from birth, when he was first recognized as being blind. He faced bullying and discrimination in his early years. Then when he went on to public school, he faced tons of discrimination and not being able to get his materials. Then when he went on to college, he was kicked out of college, said he'll never make it, had to fight his way through and get his materials. And then when he went out and he got out of college, he wants to become a medical doctor, and he has to fight with programs to get into medical school, gets denied, gets told he's not going to be able to get there, keeps fighting, keeps trying to work his way forward, never loses that ambition, never loses that tenacity, and he gets there, and he eventually becomes a medical doctor. And after he becomes a medical doctor, he tries to get hired, and what does he get told? No, we can't hire you, you're blind. You can't hire a blind doctor. And then finally, he gets to the point where now he's a medical doctor practicing, and he gets to the point where he ends up running a veteran services hospital in Chicago, Illinois. This man was the epitome of what the National Federation of the Blind stood for before there was ever a National Federation of the Blind. I believe this man put the militant in NFB. He was militant before any of us were militant. So it's an exciting book. It's an honor to be able to present this award in his name. We are so excited about the different honorees that you're going to hear about in just a second. We have 5 outstanding honorees for the 2022 Jacob Bolotin Awards. So Will, why don't you run that tape?
Federationists and guests,
That'd be great.
the National Federation of the Blind is proud to introduce the 2022 recipients of our Dr. Jacob Bolotin Awards, made possible in part by the generous support of the Alfred and Rosalind Perlman Trust and the Santa Barbara Foundation. These individuals and organizations have broken down barriers faced by blind people in innovative ways, changed negative perceptions of blindness and blind people, and pushed past existing boundaries to inspire blind people to achieve new heights. The 3 individual winners are Caroline Karbowski, founder of C3D.
C3D is a 501c3 nonprofit that I started back in 2017 when I was in high school. And we organized the printing and distribution of 3D printed models for blind people. We send them to people mainly in the United States, but all over the world. We've sent them to people in 17 countries and 27 states. So I saw an article when I was in 8th grade about 3D printing telescope and microscope images so blind people could make their own scientific observations and not only have to rely on descriptions made by sighted people on the scientific data. They were 3D printing braille labels of the telescope and microscope images. And when I saw those photos, I thought, wow, like I know braille, I can use my braille skills to add braille to 3D models. Because in 8th grade, a lot of people were asking me, why are you learning braille? You're a sighted person, you don't need this. So I was always trying to find some extra uses to apply my braille skills. And so seeing this article really inspired me then to think about 3D printing. My high school had 3D printers and I wanted to be able to use them. A lot of my friends wanted to use them. We weren't sure what to make. They were just new devices that we had. So I thought, well, why don't we make models for blind people, and I can add some Braille labels to them, and we can submit the idea to our tech competition that happens for high schools each year in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I had my tech club work on making a website, and they made some models that they designed. And I worked with my mom, who had some friends who are TBIs, and we gave models to their students. I met some blind people in Cincinnati just by chance. I just happened to see them in the community and I told them about my project. They connected me with the NFB and some people who wrote articles about C3D that really helped us gain publicity so that way more people knew about our program. And it all just started out by us posting a website with a Google form where people could make requests for models, and we'd print them at our high school, and then people would give us feedback on the models, and we've improved them since then. And now, since being at OSU, which is Ohio State University, we then got funding to become a nonprofit, really develop our program, and now we ship models all over the world and have a community of people who 3D print and distribute models.
Tyler Marin, athlete, personal trainer, and founder of Revision Fitness.
It's extremely difficult for somebody who is blind and visually impaired to get their hands on the knowledge and experience that they need for doing regular fitness. I knew this from my experience learning through classes and things like that, but I realized how much of a need there was out there. And so a few years ago, I started tumbling this idea around in my head of creating a fitness program specifically for people who are blind and visually impaired. So started jostling some ideas around and talking to some people and doing some interviews of folks who had gone before me and made the same attempts and kind of what worked and what didn't. And now I have a project up and running called Revision Fitness, and it's a fitness program specifically designed to help people who are blind and visually impaired step into the fitness world and not just step into it, but advance in it as well.
Janetta Price, blind poet and founder of Blind Girl Magic.
Blind Girl Magic is the type of magic that struts in the room with her white cane extended. Her hips shift like the motion of the eyes of the sighted. Who would have guessed that this blind girl possessed magic? Abracadabra. Now you're convinced that I have some magical superpowers with a supernatural S on my chest. Well, that will be yes for success. As I leap over obstacles in life, dodge negativity, slam misconceptions of society, slap I can't in the face where I did that is the fact that Blind Girl Magic goes back to Harriet Tubman. Way back to Harriet Tubman. Born into slavery, escaped the freedom, but she did not stop. She went back and back and back to lead others to freedom. Blind Girl Magic is built off the shoulders of phenomenal women. Blind Girl Magic is an independent movement that is leading our blind sisters to freedom of depression, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, anger, bitterness, rejection. Abracadabra, you are set free. Blind Girl Magic lives within me.
Our two organizational winners are 64-ounce games for advancing inclusion and Braille literacy through accessible play. Here are the company co-founders, Richard and Emily Gibbs.
64-ounce games is the company that designs what we've been calling accessibility kits. We do a lot of other things now, but that's where we started off. And what an accessibility kit is you purchase a retail game and you purchase a copy of our accessibility kit, and it has Braille stickers, 3D printed pieces, board overlays, anything that might be required for that particular game in order to play. And these are board games. Let's not get them confused with video games. We don't do that. I don't know how to program enough to make that happen.
So our accessibility kits take a board game off the shelf, and then you put it together with our kit to make a completely accessible game.
We are firm believers in Braille. We believe that Braille gaming is Braille literacy. My wife is a teacher of blind students. I know the Braille code myself and have been using it for years. And we are firm believers that Braille opens up opportunities. And by making these games accessible, we hope that by extension that we're making people realize that Braille is useful and Braille is important and Braille offers opportunities that you would not get otherwise.
Absolutely. One of the major tenets of our company and what we want to do is support Braille literacy. And we firmly believe that through fun and through games is one of the best ways to learn Braille.
Netflix, for excellence in audio description, accessibility, and disability representation. Here's dubbing and accessibility team member Elisa Beniero.
Since Daredevil launched in May 2015, as you were saying, our library has grown exponentially, not only in English, but in other languages as well. We have started providing audio description in other languages, first with Narcos, which had audio description in neutral Spanish, and then we had Marseille, which was in French. And the number of local audio description titles is constantly growing with the growing number of local productions. I don't know if you know this, but we have created at least one audio description in over 50 languages. And our latest addition was Pashto audio description, which we created for a short documentary, 3 songs for Benazir. And we are currently working on Punjabi audio description, which will be available later this year for a thriller that is gonna launch set up against small-time gangs and their rivalries in a fictional town in the south of Punjab. So we're really excited for all this growth that we have. And at the moment we have, I just checked this morning, 18,146 hours of audio description. And of these, 11,728 are in English.
These winners will each receive a trophy and a monetary prize to advance their work to help blind people live the lives we want. Now, the National Federation of the Blind proudly presents them with their 2022 Dr. Jacob Bolotin Awards.
What an outstanding group of award winners. Aren't you excited? Great. I know that, we received over 50 applications for this year's award. And so if you did not get an award, or the person that you nominated or organization you nominated, you can do that again next year. We're going to give these awards again next year. The Roseman and Perlman Trust is so awesome, has awarded us with the ability to give these awards each year, and we'll be doing it again next year, so please continue to send in those applications. We definitely want those, so even if you didn't get it this year, please send them in again, individuals or organizational awards. I want to now recognize the committee members that helped me with the choosing of these awards. Mary Ellen Jernigan of Maryland. Dr. Natalie Shaheen of Illinois. Second Vice President Ron Brown of Indiana. Steve Jacobson of Minnesota. And new board member-elect Donald Porterfield of Arizona. All right, now before we get to the awards and how much they're getting, let's read to you what is on their trophy. Beth?
Presented to applicant by the National Federation of the Blind and the Santa Barbara Foundation, July 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's it.
Okay. All right, so our first winner, we're going to do the individual awards first. The first winner, winning the amount of $5,000, Caroline Karbowski. Eric Duffy, who nominated her, said this: the nominator said this: she does not ask if it is possible for a blind person to accomplish a specific task. Rather, instead, she asks, how can we make this task more accessible? All right. Caroline?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, our next award winner, again, winning the amount of $5,000, Tyler Marin, Revision Fitness. Now, JJ Maddow, who nominated Tyler, says this: "We've known blind people for many years who have mastered fitness, workouts, and athletics. That part isn't new. What Tyler has done, however, is create a platform that is usable and applicable to people at any level of fitness. Where previously you would need to find an existing fitness coach or someone willing to explain various workouts, Tyler has brought this information into an engaging and accessible app which can be used by virtually anyone at any time. Whether it's a simple exercise like a push-up or a more advanced routine, the app likely has you covered." Okay. All right. Tyler.
Yes, sir.
Here you go, my friend.
Thank you
Congratulations,
so much.
man.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. Thank
All right.
you.
All right. Our next and final individual award winner is Janetta Price of Blind Girl Magic. And Janetta, we are giving a $15,000 award to. Blind Girl Magic provides blind support groups, workshops, and retreats that taps into the magic of a world of out-of-sight possibilities. Her mission in life is to help others tap into their vision by utilizing writing as an instrument of healing. She volunteers by sharing her gift of poetry and personality virtually that inspires the blind community and beyond. Janetta Price. Janetta, here you are. Congratulations, my friend. Thank you so much. All right. Now we'll go on to our organizational winners. The first one is something that's been near and dear to my heart because I've been using their services since 2006. Actually, no, sorry. Let me take that back. Since 2003, when a certain Blockbuster Video fired me, I immediately cut up my membership and joined Netflix, and I've been a member ever since. And I've watched them bring audio description and all kinds of other outstanding accessibilities to their platform. So I'm so excited and honored to give them this award. Netflix is an honorarium award. We're not giving them any money. They told us they didn't want the funding, but they were excited to get the award. They want to put the funding back into the National Federation of the Blind. Not only does Netflix guarantee audio description for all of its original content, but it listens to blind customers and is adding audio description to other popular series such as Breaking Bad and Mad Men. Netflix offers audio description in numerous languages and even offers AD in English for some of its foreign titles. Whenever the organized blind has brought an issue to Netflix, such as making Squid Game accessible with English AD, or offering guidance on screenplays featuring a blind character, Netflix has listened. Netflix even has an upcoming feature that will have an authentic blind person playing a blind character. How is that for authenticity? Elisa, Shanta, this is so my pleasure to give this to you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. All right. Now, our final individual award winner, 64-ounce games. And we are awarding 64-ounce games with our largest award, $20,000. Karen Anderson, who nominated them, said this: "We in the National Federation of the Blind know that Braille and tactile literacy open endless possibilities. And for nearly a decade, 64-ounce games has worked to unlock that world of possibilities and fun by putting Braille and tactile graphics at the fingertips of more blind children and adults, and to do so in a fun and engaging way. They created and sell accessibility kits that, when paired with a mainstream game sold at any retailer, make that game fully accessible." Okay, so unfortunately, Richard and Emily Gibbs, who are the owners of 64-ounce games, contracted COVID a couple of days ago and had to go home. Now, accepting their award and making sure that they'll get their award is Karen Anderson, who nominated them. Okay. Oh, there was one other part Beth wanted to read, and then I believe we have Emily Gibbs on the Zoom. Emily, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Would you like to say a few words, Emily?
I'm here as well. This is Richard Gibbs.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much for this honor. We're happy to be able to be here with you today virtually. We want to thank our family, especially both of our parents who have supported us over the years. They've helped us to make more games for Bell Academy. They've been invaluable to help with our 5 kids, and despite being skeptical, they trusted us when we left 2 days after our wedding to start a new adventure in a small city. Perhaps you heard of it, Ruston, Louisiana. There, Emily completed her TBS. We made many blind friends, and we saw the need for accessible board games in this community. In particular, we'd like to thank Dr. Ruby Riles, who is the reason that we both know Braille. From there, we moved on to teaching, and eventually we found ourselves in a new mission to help make the games that I love accessible.
Our initial Kickstarter found support in the sighted board game community and the organized blind movement. So many people in this room have helped make our dream a reality. We have always had the support of our Federation family. Rachel Olivero and Karen Anderson have been there from the very beginning, supporting and playing our games. We would not be here today without their confidence in us. And the Texas affiliate, especially Norma and Glenn Crosby, they have been our playtesters, our sounding board, and our advisors from the very start. We intend to use this award to continue to bring games to the blind community, expand our Braille teaching tools, and refine our tactile graphics. We have big plans for the future. Thank you again.
All right. Let's give all of these winners a huge Federation cheer. Oh, we're going to have Beth read the rest of the award. Go ahead, Beth.
My apologies. There's a medallion at the top of the award, and one side of that medallion reads Dr. Jacob Bolotin, and then there is his likeness, 1888 through 1924, and then the inscription below that reads, Celebrating His Life, the Alfred and Rosalind Perlman Trust. And the back of the award says, the back of the medallion says, the Dr. Jacob Bolotin Award, and then there's the NFB logo, and it says, Celebrating Achievement, Creating Opportunity.
All right, let's give... Oh, sorry. That's it. Okay. All right, let's give them one last round of applause. Thank you very much. Mr. President, that is my awards. Thank you.
How about door
right.
prize?
Yeah, door prize.
Let's get
for
a
these
door prize.
great-
$50 cash and a $25 gift certificate for Sarah Mornis of Vermont. Sarah Mornis, are you there? If so, stand up and wave your arms around and yell and scream, but it doesn't seem like she's there. How about William Jacobs of Maryland?
William,
He's here.
Bill Jacobs.
He's here. I think we got him.
All right. Congratulations to our award winners, and thank you for your continued work. And I know it will contribute to the organized blind movement. I have some of the 64-ounce games myself, so I can never get my kids to play Ticket to Ride with me. I don't know what that's about. But this next item is Going My Way, Driving Accessibility through Innovative Autonomous Transportation. From the beginning of the work on our Blind Driver Challenge, we have used it as a platform to talk about access to all stages of the work being done in this country on, well, really around the world on autonomous vehicle technology. The Federation has participated with autonomous vehicle companies all over the world. And more of the leaders that are working in the autonomous vehicle industry have come to understand and prioritize our message of equal access. Waymo is one of the key companies in this emerging industry, and our next speaker is their global head of public policy. Her career has centered on building and growing government relation programs for large, small, established, and startup companies in fields like financial services, high tech, and transportation. And we're proud to have her company as a partner in our work to transform accessible transportation options for blind people. Here's Michelle Peacock.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Peacock. It's great to be here today. What an amazing time this has been. This whole convention has been spectacular. I've met so many great people. I want to give a shout out to my new best friend, Sailor Cooper from Houston. Yeah, thank you, Sailor. And it's just been amazing to meet so many cool people like Sailor earlier today. So let's talk about Waymo. Waymo, the words, stand for a new way forward in mobility. We are an autonomous driving technology company with a mission to make it safe and easy for people and things to move around. So fully autonomous technology holds the promise to improve road safety and offer mobility options for millions and millions of people. Waymo is building the Waymo Driver, which is our proprietary, fully autonomous driving system that is applied across two lines of businesses. Waymo One, our fully autonomous ride-hailing service that's now operating in the Metro Phoenix area, and Waymo Via, which is focused on all forms of commercial goods delivery, including heavy-duty trucking and local delivery. Now, I was asked this question earlier today, which is, when can I buy one of these Waymo cars? And, well, the answer is you're not. We don't manufacture cars to sell to the public. The cars that we are operating in San Francisco are beautiful Jaguar Land Rover I-Paces. So what we are doing is operating a fleet of these AV cars and heavy-duty trucks equipped with this driver. And since safety is at the heart of everything that we do, we think this can help improve road safety. Our company is building the technology using these fleets of cars to be able to provide mobility options for people without the need of having to buy this car. So we are the most advanced and experienced AV company with over 11 years of experience in autonomous vehicles. In 2009, we started as the Google Self-Driving Car Project, and in 2011, we began to develop our own hardware and sensors in-house. There's nothing on the market that could deliver this full autonomous capability. In 2015, we completed the world's first fully autonomous ride on public roads. This was in Austin, Texas, with our friend Steve Mann, who was blind. And in 2020, we launched to the public the world's first fully autonomous commercialized ride-hailing service in Phoenix. And right now, we have expanded our testing of Waymo 1 in San Francisco. So as I said, we believe that this Waymo driver has the ability to dramatically improve road safety because it's always paying attention. It's always paying attention to the roads. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get distracted. It's not yelling at the kids in the back seat. It's not spilling food down the front when they're trying to eat, or, as I am prone to do, trying to find Dua Lipa on the radio. So today, I'd like to share you a little bit more about our accessibility vision, because we think that the promise of AVs holds so much for accessibility. And we're going to focus on Waymo 1, which is our ride-hail service. Now, as I said before, because we own our fleet, we are uniquely positioned to add accessibility features into our product in a way that the manually operated ride-hailing companies just can't do. And that's significant because we believe the benefits of AVs will be brought to the market, to consumers and to the public through shared ride-hailing before they reach drivers via personal car ownership. Introducing these features through our Waymo 1 ride-hailing service will mean more riders will benefit from them sooner than they otherwise would. And our philosophy here is completely aligned with the National Federation of the Blind. Our efforts to build inclusive technology and an inclusive user experience is just completely aligned with what we're trying to do here this weekend. Collaboration with this community has helped us find areas for improvement in our product that make AV rides more accessible, and in doing so, it raises the bar for the user experience for everyone. We're proud of this work, but in addition to that, I'm really excited to share that we've recently expanded our partnership and are collaborating with NFB on accessible infrastructure legislation in Congress that will advance our joint missions. Waymo has had a long-standing relationship with the blind community. Our Let's Talk Autonomous Driving campaign highlights the benefits of autonomous driving technology for people who cannot drive, and including organizations like Foundation for Blind Children, Lighthouse for the Blind SF, and World Blind Union. And in a minute, I'll talk you through the different ways we've designed our app for accessibility. But before I do, I want to stress two things. First, we know that we're not done. We understand that our service is a work in progress, and there's more that we can do to meet our riders' needs over time. And we've heard from the community loud and clear, nothing about us without us. So we want to make sure, yes, let's have that applause. There we go. We have heard from the community that this nothing about us without us, and we've definitely put that into practice. And so we want to make sure that we're engaging with all of you on this process, collecting feedback, and using it to constantly improve our service. And then the second thing I wanted to point out is that this spirit of inclusive design actually benefits all of our customers. On several occasions, we've built inclusive design features and have found that those that were ostensibly built for the disabled community have been things that improve the user experience for the entire business. All right, so let's talk about these inclusive design features in Waymo 1. So these include the option to minimize walking time when ordering a trip, turn-by-turn walking navigation, the ability to honk the car's horn remotely, and the option to contact rider support. So to ensure our service is accessible for riders with various needs, we have taken two broad approaches to developing these features. So first, we've conducted user research with these riders. We've had them use our app, take rides in the car, talk to the support team. This inevitably identifies opportunities for improvement, which are then added to the product development. And second, we've gathered feedback from internal riders that have disabilities. These are people with our sister company, Google, who have disabilities, and we get them in the car and get really valuable direct feedback from them as well. And there's also important to highlight the role that NFB played in helping us develop this technology. When we first started autonomous driving in Chandler, Arizona in 2017, NFB was invited to be part of our Trusted Tester program, where blind riders could experience AV rides and give us very specific and very direct feedback about their experience. And that has been tremendous treasure trove of information to help us perfect the offering that we have. So let's turn to the user experience of Waymo 1, and I can tell you a little bit more about these features. So once a new user has onboarded with us, the rider can use the app to navigate to the accessibility settings. So I'll highlight a few of these settings and walk you through this experience. So first, the user orders a car using the Waymo 1 app. And the app is legible by a screen reader, which allows the blind users to navigate by hearing labels and buttons read out loud. And then what happens after that is the pickup process. And this also creates some challenges. From time to time, a rider might experience some competing factors at pickup or drop-off. And it would often involves balancing two things: a safe area to meet the car with a pickup, but that it might take a longer walk to get there. And so Waymo makes sure the rider is alerted to this situation as it happens and gives them the tools to help locate the vehicle. For example, we provide pickup and drop-off warnings for long walks before the trip is even ordered. So a rider, if they decide that's too far to walk, they can decline the ride if it doesn't work. And at the end of the trip too, we can tailor information for specific scenarios, like providing more details when a drop-off is in a parking lot. But this limiting the walking is a big focus for us. And so to do that, under the accessibility settings, users will find a feature called minimized walking time. And here's how it works. As I mentioned before, cars sometimes make these trade-offs to give riders more walking time, but a shorter overall trip journey. So for example, if a Waymo vehicle maybe needs to circle the block to pick up a passenger, it may instead decide to stop on the opposite side of the street to limit the time to pick up. But this behavior of the car might have a disproportionately negative impact on blind users. So the passenger instead might request that the vehicle go ahead, circle the block, and come exactly to where I am standing. So that person doesn't have to cross the street, and this feature allows them to do that. And another feature is we call it rider-only matching. So when we talk about these fully autonomous cars, our shorthand is rider-only, meaning there's no driver in the car. So when a user orders a ride, we alert them to the fact that this ride may be rider-only with no driver present before it arrives. And it provides additional information, like a list of 10 things you need to know about this ride. And if the user isn't comfortable with rider only, or they actually need a person to help them, they can give them a tool so they can notify us or cancel the ride. We have also added some new tools to help the rider locate the vehicle. First is the vehicle ID. So this helps people with lower vision who can see color or a few bright letters from far away rather than the license plate. So with this, we highlight a 2-digit ID number at the top of the car as an LED, and it can be customized by color. Right now, often in San Francisco, you'll see it flash up the initials of the person who ordered the ride. So when I take rides in San Francisco, I look for the cars that say MP, because that's the one for me. And this helps everybody. I use it all of the time, not just those who have disabilities, to more easily find their car. And another new tool is the honking the horn. So I have used this tool also, where you can use from the app, you can just press a button and it will honk the horn. Thank you. It was, again, designed for blind individuals, making it easier to find the car when there isn't a person behind the wheel to call. But again, this is a great benefit, and I use this all the time, and not just because it's funny, but I use it to actually find the car too. In San Francisco, there's a lot of these cars on the street, so it's nice, really helpful to find them when you need to. And then inside of the car, once the rider's in the car, we've added other settings that help provide assistive audio. So these are tools that help visually impaired riders get context about what's happening in the car. So for example, the vehicle will tell riders when it's yielding for a pedestrian or stopping at a traffic light, just to give riders comfort to know that the car is on track and the ride is continuing as expected. I like the cheers, but I will say this is a tool we built for inclusivity, but actually everybody likes this. My husband and I were in a car recently. He's like, this is so cool. I know exactly what's going on. And it's a tremendous benefit for everyone too. Once in a while, things don't go as planned on these rides, and that's where our rider support team can step in and helping us be prepared for the unexpected. So once in the vehicle, we have live rider support team just one tap away. They're available in the car and also from the app. For example, rarely the Waymo vehicle may need to come to a full stop when it doesn't know how to proceed. There may be debris in the road that they can't identify or get around. In those scenarios, a member of the Waymo roadside assistance team will join the ride, take over control, and complete the trip. And we want to make sure we're effectively communicating about this for everyone who is taking the ride. In addition to the internal screen of the car where we show what's happening, we also provide audio announcements as well as talk to riders through the event. Our rider support team will also call in, providing a high-touch experience that explains to the rider what's happening and answer questions and describe what will happen next. We're very proud of these features that are available in the car and in the app today, but there is even more ahead of us. For Waymo is a participant in the U.S. Department of Transportation Inclusive Design Challenge. So this is a very exciting project that we've been involved in too. It's sort of taking what we've done, the OG features, and boosting them up even more. So as I shared with you today, we have come a long way since 2011 in developing this technology, and this is really just the beginning. We are so excited to have been selected as a semi-finalist in the US DOT Inclusive Design Challenge. And this challenge seeks to help us develop new solutions for people with needs to make use of autonomous vehicles to access jobs and healthcare and other critical decisions. And so through our user research and feedback from riders, are you hearing a theme? And developing this fully autonomous technology, we've learned that one of the largest challenges for low vision riders is finding the car at pickup. So this research has formed the heart of our challenge submission. And after being selected as a semi-finalist in January 2021, we have moved on to stage 2, which is where we are now. So fingers crossed. In stage 2, our team prototyped additional accessibility features beyond those that we've just talked about, and they will include adaptive app navigation, visual, audio, and haptic cues to navigate to a vehicle, purpose-built car sounds for wayfinding, locating with headlights, and hands-free car communication, and also video chat support. So in total, we developed features that fell into 11 different categories, all aimed at improving accessibility. I love all the woo, that is great. So one area of focus, as we talked about, is wayfinding, and our proposal included using creative speech, such as explaining the position of the Waymo vehicle by noting verbally things like, the car is 15 feet away from you as the crow flies. Using language, the everyday language, to help people navigate to where the car is. And we also include purpose-built sounds that help people engage more effectively with the app, and haptic vibrations where we use like a hot and cold approach that users can alert users to when they're getting closer to the car. Some of you may have used the Apple Watch, and it'll vibrate when you're making turns for navigation. And in this way, we'll use something similar to be able to tell you you're getting warmer, you're getting colder. Earlier, I also mentioned, as you remember, my fondness for the horn honking, because it is pretty fun. But one of the challenges, as you might imagine, is that the horn honking on the Waymo car sounds a lot like a lot of other cars' horns honking. And so through this challenge, we designed a custom horn sound, different than the standard honk. I've listened to a couple versions of it. One is this distinctive, like a trill sound, like a high-pitched, pretty trill sound. And another one is like this lovely like melody that just plays, but it's very bright and a cheerful melody. So you would know when you hear these sound that is the Waymo car and not a different car that might have a similar horn that's honking. We also think this will benefit people who are not at all interested in riding in AV cars, and those are bystanders who might not like this idea of additional horn honks in these dense urban environments. So this sound feature could also potentially be engaged more proactively by the car. So if you imagine a scenario where someone, a blind user of Waymo, is trying to find the car, but they've got stuff in their hands. They're maybe holding a cane or groceries or a child or something. It might be not easy to pull the phone out and engage with the phone to be able to press the button to have this noise made. So we are working on finding a way to have the car recognize that the user is just close and then send the signal itself so that the person would be able to find the car. So we're very excited about this challenge. We should have the outcome with the winners announced any day now, and we're really hopeful to win. So all of you send your good vibes out there to the USDOT. So this has been an amazing opportunity for us. We love the partnership with the organization, and I just want to say thank you to all of you and to the Federation. I am really proud of Waymo's focus on accessibility, and we're so grateful to be constantly learning from our riders and local and national disability groups, and I think together we will just continue to be dedicated to bringing more accessible autonomous driving to the world. So thank you. Thank you, Mark. This is great. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you very much, Waymo. I think you covered all of the bases on that. That's pretty great. I hope that many more of us will get to take a Waymo ride very soon, and we'll look to the next generation of that technology. Really transformative. Thank you very much for being at our convention. How about a door prize?
Hey, great idea. I'm glad you thought of it, Mr. President. We've got a great door prize coming up of $70 of gift certificates. But before we do that, we got a virtual participants prize for a virtual participant named Dan Miner of Missouri. You'll get a $25 gift card if you email prize@nfb.org within 30 minutes. Dan Miner, you got it. And now we have $70 gift certificates to Jonathan Knowles of Ohio. Maybe not. Sheena Manuel of Massachusetts. Are you here? Is everybody having a good time? All right. How about Todd Elzey of Ohio? He's got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Keep waving.
We claim him in Maryland, but he is an Ohioan. But new staff member at the National Federation of the Blind. All right, I want to let you know that at 3 o'clock, which means like right almost now, Give 20 is going to be closing. So get your last minute Give 20 contributions in. Walk safely back to the tables, give your last Give 20 contributions. But here's Scott Labar for the PAC plan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Federation family. I got a lot of news for you. First item is about 30 minutes from now, as soon as I get done, 30 minutes from then, the PAC table will be closing. So this is your last chance. In the race for the PAC rat, this one's coming down to the wire. Colorado is one person ahead of Maryland. Come on, Ryan, you're coming back home. The seniors are slightly ahead of the parents. Well, 7 people, but if you get busy, parents, you can take on the seniors here. And we have a new leader increasing their PAC pledge 118% is the great state of Maine for Parade the Pachyderm. Now back to the Colorado-Maryland race. In terms of the monthly amount, according to my calculations here, Colorado is $3 ahead a month of Maryland, except that I happen to know after I got these figures, a Colorado member raised their PAC $25, so it could be as much as a $28 a month lead. So Colorado, we're still number one. All right.
Come on, Maryland.
All right, now, annualized, we are at $493,355 on the PAC plan, $41,112 a month. Now these are the final winners of gift cards. Please go back to the PAC table or call me. I'll give you my number in a minute. Vince Armstrong, Vanessa, is that right? Yes. Vanessa Meadows, yes. You got it. Vanessa Meadows. David Andrews of Minnesota. Ronza Othman, Maryland. Tina Baker Ivy, don't know where you're from, sorry, but you won. Brigitte Moore-Dock, the NFB of Ohio won a gift card, so I don't know what you want to do with it, but come back and get it. Marianne Melly of Connecticut. Marianne, come on back. Robert Widman of Michigan. I know we did him on the phone, so we'll send it to you, Robert. We got to get your address. Nancy Altman of Nebraska. The NFB Lancaster chapter of South Carolina. Karen Anderson of Maryland. Well, yeah. Okay.
Keep going,
Christine
Maryland.
Palmer. You're from Philadelphia, Christine. I remember that. Willie Wells, Tennessee. We've got Eric Vaskilieskis. I goofed that up. But
No,
California, you know who you are. Marla Ewell of Maryland, and Bob Watson of Maryland.
All right, Maryland.
Suzanne Schaefer of Connecticut. Okay, those are all our winners. And then lastly, Mr. President, I want to thank everybody that's been helping on PAC. Lisa Bonderson, Sean Sandoval, Danielle Harden. We've had Sophie back at our national office, and all the back at our national office. Ross Kirshner here, Bridget Burke here, and who am I missing? Oh, Seth. Seth Lampkin also helped us out at the PAC table. So thank you very much. And finally, thank you, my Federation family. We're doing great on PAC. Let's keep it up. You've got 30 minutes, and you could still be in the drawings for those $250 gift cards. Get back to the PAC table.
Thank you very much, Scott. Encourage all folks to get back to the PAC table. Let's really break some records. Now we're moving from transportation to transformation in employment. We first really got to know our next speaker through her legal capacities, helping to advance civil rights for people with disabilities, including serving as our legal counsel in important efforts to advance competitive integrated employment. We value her expertise, and equally as important, she values ours. And that's why our partnership together is really powerful. As you heard in the presidential report, we are working together to find new innovative ways to raise expectations. She is the founder and managing partner of Enable Ventures and founder and chair of SmartJob. Here is our friend and our innovative partner, Regina Kline.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello and good afternoon, members of the Federation. What a privilege it is to come back here today after being gone and apart for a couple of years. This has a lot of significance to me personally, and I know it has to you. This convention is so much a homecoming, and a homecoming this year during such challenging times that we all have been through. But it does reflect a critical moment to celebrate community and to celebrate the energy that's created by this community in particular. There's potent power in this room. There are ideas and actions in this room that will lift up those that are here and those that are not for the rest of the year and for years to come. Well, I was introduced just now by the president in my role as founder of Enable Ventures and SmartJob, both companies working to close the disability wealth gap and build a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem throughout the disability community, as I will describe in a minute. As he mentioned, before that, I started working and learning from this community as a lawyer. And it was with absolute pleasure during my time as a trial attorney and senior counsel at the U.S. Department of Justice under the Obama administration that I worked on matters that the NFB has always led on. And that is fighting to advance the rights and interests of workers with disabilities to achieve competitive employment. That means avoiding unnecessary, unjustified segregation. It means being able to leave sub-minimum wage work when you can and want to work for competitive wages. And as you well know, NFB has always been on the cutting edge of civil rights of workers in the organized blind movement to work in employment in a range of jobs, to advance the highest expectations of people who are blind, for the full inclusion of the organized blind in work and the economy. I look out today, I see some of my great friends. Eve Hill, I worked with her back at DOJ. She's one of the great lawyers in the United States advancing the ADA. Anne Ray, she was on stage a little while ago, still at the DOJ, advancing civil rights. But that was a time back at the DOJ when we filed the first cases that applied the ADA and the Supreme Court decision in Olmstead to where people with disabilities worked. And it was then that we knew, as we know now, that people with disabilities can thrive in the labor market in a range of opportunities, that there is a recognized right in the United States for people with disabilities to receive the services and supports they need to work in the community. Later in my career, I went on and worked with Eve Hill and Dan Goldstein, who's in the audience, and other lawyers here from Brown, Goldstein, and Levy. Let's hear it for Brown, Goldstein, and Levy. A law firm truly with singularity that has worked hand in glove with the NFB to advance the rights of people with disabilities and people in this community for decades. We worked on matters across the United States with the NFB advancing the rights of blind workers to avoid unlawful, unnecessary segregation, to be treated equally on the job, to access ladders of opportunity. And that is work that is still carrying on today with the NFB and with these lawyers that have dedicated so much of their lives to making sure that people with disabilities have equal rights. It was just around the start of 2020, however, that my work took me in a very interesting and a very different place. I began to assess the sum of these experiences, and I was assessing what it meant that I had represented and worked with some of the most talented people I'd ever met in this community, in this room, and in rooms like this around the country. And I began to realize that there were two different realities at play. First, 30 years after the ADA, it remained the case that nearly 2/3 of working age adults with disabilities are in fact not employed. Second, and this is really important, that there is an abundance of raw innovation, invention, ingenuity reverberating throughout the disability community and the blind community. It's everywhere. Talent is lying everywhere. And it's in this convention hall today. And it sparks the question, it should spark the question in all of us, which is how can we harness that talent to access more than just the right to be free from discrimination? What additional tools can we use to allow talented people with disabilities to achieve a freedom that works hand in glove with equality, that is economic justice? In the movement for disability rights, how do we build upon the equality already achieved in the battles yet to be fought while leveling up to the word that is equity? That which gives people economic opportunities, employment, and greater access to wealth. And I turned to entrepreneurship to address these questions. Now ask me what entrepreneurship is. To me, it's a prayer to the kind of world you want to live in the future. It's a prayer that through consistent and dedicated focus, you will into the world. Through the power of a single idea, you will it into reality, even despite the odds that it might not succeed. The history of successful entrepreneurs is replete with examples of people who have succeeded in spite of the odds, in spite of great barriers. They've been excluded from traditional avenues of employment. As the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, wrote in a 2013 op-ed about the subject of immigration, Reid Hoffman said, "Immigration is pure entrepreneurship. You see, you leave behind everything familiar to start somewhere new. To succeed, you develop alliances. You must acquire skills. You will have to improvise on occasion. That's a bold proposition," he said. Well, like the experience of immigration, so many of the entrepreneurs with disabilities that I meet every day are fantastically situated for the experience of entrepreneurship. Each day they battle and bust through barriers in a world that was so often not designed with them in mind. Each day they're written out of certain opportunities, not on their own merit, but because of the biases inherent in others in their world. It causes them to develop alternative paths, new alliances, new and additional skills. Their lives are one of inventing workarounds, hacks, better ways. And they are uncompromising in their belief that they can and will live in a world where the experience of disability is equated with problem solving, innovation, and a better way. I founded SmartJob in 2020, and this year in 2022, partnered with Jim Sorensen, a world-renowned impact investor of the Sorensen Impact Platform, to create Enable Ventures, a market-rate venture capital firm. Our job is to find the most talented entrepreneurs with disabilities in the world, who are leveraging the disability experience as an asset. And in their businesses, they are creating inclusively designed products and services. And they're launching startups that will increase the employment of people with disabilities. We connect these entrepreneurs with funding to allow their companies and enterprises to grow, to scale, to be sustainable. These entrepreneurs and companies are bringing new products to the market that will improve the lives of themselves and others, and the lives of people with disabilities. In our estimation, by backing and supporting these innovators and entrepreneurs, we are working, and we need you to help us. We are working on building smarter jobs. We don't need to build any smart people. We've got them here. We've got them everywhere. We don't need to get more talented. We have talent here. We have talent everywhere. What we need to do is change the way we design work. And there is a rising class of entrepreneurs with disabilities around the world that will do that will reimagine work for everyone. Now you're saying, my friend Tracy over there gives me a hard time from the NFB. Let's just hear it for Tracy Soferenko over in Virginia. He is always giving me a hard time. He said, Gina, you're too much Wall Street, not enough Main Street. You're too Harvard, not enough rock and roll. All right, Tracy, here's some regular language about what we do. Is that all right? Okay, here we go. This is what we're working on, you guys. We are providing our support to entrepreneurs and early stage companies that are inventing new wayfinding solutions, next generation braille displays, digital training and hiring platforms designed to screen in, not screen out. You heard Ann Raish from the US DOJ. They're worried about technologies coming along that are AI driven, that screen workers out. We're looking for the technologies that actually are designed to screen workers in. We're backing entrepreneurs with disabilities with powerful ideas who are seeking funding in order to grow and scale the kind of companies that will hire other people with disabilities, that will promote accessibility in their supply chains, that will be designed with the community in mind from the beginning. It means that SmartJob is finding and supporting a global community of disability tech accelerators, small business incubators, entrepreneurship programs that provide entrepreneurs with those critical skills, the critical skills, support, and information they need to be successful on their entrepreneurial journeys. You know, some of the fastest growing jobs in our economy today are in the technology sector. And that's an industry where people with disabilities, including people who are blind, are absolutely underrepresented. It is estimated that hundreds of thousands of jobs that exist today will be gone by 2030 because of the lightning speed of innovation, automation, and because of this increasing digital divide. People who have unequal access to technology will be the hardest hit with these labor force trends. And as you know, here we are in 2022, and the internet remains so often inaccessible to blind people 32 years after the enactment of the ADA. To solve for these problems, in addition to the good work, the profound work of the NFB and its crusade for civil rights with so many talented lawyers, to solve for this problem, SmartJob is building relationships We're building a lot of them. We're building relationships with coding, digital accessibility, and other technology training boot camps. We're trying to connect workers with new inroads into that tech industry. We're working to pave alternative and accessible learning and training paths right into the technology sector to drive inclusion into the heart of tech by making it easier for tech to meet our talented workforce, the members of the National Federation of the Blind and people across the disability community who can and want to work in tech and can bring their talents to bear on the next generation of technology. So I've got to tell you, since 2020, I've met with hundreds of entrepreneurs with disabilities from around the world. We're talking about inventors and dreamers and founders and makers. They're leveraging the experience of disability as an asset to business and as an asset to the world. And they're expanding the disability market and the general market, the general consumer market as they're doing it. You might ask yourself today, if you're not an entrepreneur, why you should care about this. Why should you care about this? What does it have to do with your life? Today, entrepreneurs throughout the world are working on solutions. They're working on solutions that you'll buy at the store. They're working, and many of them are blind, are working on solutions that will remove barriers to people with disabilities' lives. That's true, but the right solutions need funding to scale. In order to be sustainable, to reach you, they need funding in order to get off the ground, to hit a wider distribution, to have a lower price point, to make the sustainability of those products, they need sustained funding. And they also need something else that's a magic ingredient, which is that they need what we call in investing product market fit. They need feedback and insight and partnerships like the kind that we have forged with, under the leadership of President Riccobono with the National Federation of the Blind, to know what is the user experience? What do blind people think about this product? What does the community need to be built? Who in the community wants to build it? And so we are working on all these issues together. As we are looking to support and grow companies, we're also looking to support and grow the interests of consumers as to what they need. And you know what you need, and you know what you'd like to see have on the shelf in the future. When entrepreneurs with disabilities and those co-designing with them have more funding, when they have more support, when they have more guidance, consumers do have a wider array of choices in their lives, and that levels the playing field. And on this journey, as I mentioned, and I really want to underscore this, the NFB has been an indispensable partner. This should be of little surprise, as the NFB has been at the forefront of not only, as we mentioned, advancing employment for much of its 80-plus year history, but the NFB has been at the edge, the cutting edge of advancing innovation for all of its history. Certainly blind innovation since the very beginning has very directly influenced the history of innovation writ large in the world. You can draw a straight line from the invention of the typewriter to text-to-voice to audiobooks. Many of the component features of your iPhone in your pocket, that started in the organized blind community. That started with blind innovators. That started here. That started in the community. Those innovations changed the world. They changed the world. And I know that your president knows that, NFB knows that, and looking out into the future, they know that there are innovators and inventors in the audience here today, across this country, who will create the next generation of solutions in the next 50 years. We are very excited by this partnership and the ability to announce 2 special opportunities that are coming online right now in this partnership between SmartJob and the NFB. We have supported and brought to the community Synergies Works. It's a small micro business incubator. This is Tracy again. What does incubator mean, Gina? Well, it is a place where entrepreneurs can receive support for their ideas, end-to-end support, mentorship, networks, the opportunity to meet with coaches about their business ideas, opportunity to receive support in accounting and marketing and understanding how to reach consumers and test product. This is the opportunity how to make a business plan. We're bringing this online. And the opportunity is currently open to members of the National Federation of the Blind. Yep. And the other thing we have to tell you is that we're bringing online, thanks to the folks at Include LLC, a How to Raise Venture Capital course, how to get funding from angel investors and venture capitalists for great business ideas here in the NFB community. That course is opening right now as well. We've got lots of opportunities, and we hope that we'll see many of you participating in these opportunities as we move forward. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Really excited about our work with Gina. And how about that energy, huh? Yeah. Bennett, you got a quick door prize?
I think so. We got a lot, and we got, this is the time for people to stick around. We got some bucks coming up, but right now we have a great item. It's the health monitoring kit, and it's with the COVID test with it. Probably over $800 value, and the winner is Mark Coleman of Nebraska.
Got my hopes up there.
Mark Coleman of Nebraska. We got him.
Okay. Yeah, we got him.
He's out raising cane there.
Yeah. Our partnership with Kellogg's has been growing over the years. I think the first time they participated in this convention is when they launched our partnership on the Braille Love Notes. Yeah, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? This year, they are our elite sponsor, which is our top sponsorship level. Now, some of you may not realize, to get to stand on this stage and speak to this audience, you don't get to pay for that privilege. So as much as we love our elite sponsor, it does not earn you the opportunity to come speak. So that means the fact that we have invited Kellogg to speak indicates a deeper and more substantial partnership. We do not have a pay-to-play model in the National Federation of the Blind. You have to earn it. Our presenter is the Senior Director of Retail Operations at Kellogg Corporation, based in Battle Creek, Michigan. He has been at Kellogg's for over 28 years. In addition to his professional credentials, he exhibits the spirit of determination that we share in the National Federation of the Blind. During the COVID pandemic, he set a goal of running the Chicago Marathon, and in October, he did so, his third marathon. Here to present diversity at Kellogg, a commitment that raises expectations for blind empowerment, is a gentleman who I should tell you is also, in observance of our mask policy, is wearing a mask that makes him look like Tony the Tiger. So please, welcome our great elite sponsor and Wilson Ray.
Thank you, sir.
Well, hello, NFB. What an exciting, I was so excited for today. I had trouble sleeping last night because this is such a great group. And I got to tell you, the last couple of days has been tremendous. And thank you for your interaction at the exhibitor showcase. And we're excited to talk about some really fun news. Before I get to that, I want to first of all say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We are at Kellogg's are very excited to be your elite sponsor for this year's convention. And on behalf of everyone at Kellogg's, I would like to thank NFB President Mark Riccobono, as well as everybody in the NFB organization for your great hospitality in welcoming us to this fine town of New Orleans. Everybody enjoying New Orleans? I know I absolutely am. And I would be remiss to also not take a moment to congratulate the Jacob Bolotin Award winners. Those stories were so inspiring and so motivational. I just want to say thank you to those and congratulations. Let's give those winners another round of applause. Super job. As was mentioned, my name is Wilson Ray. I am the Senior Director of Retail Sales Operations for Kellogg's. Now, some of you probably know Kellogg's through our iconic breakfast cereals and breakfast brands. Brands like Kellogg's Corn Flakes, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Who doesn't love some Tony the Tiger? Kellogg's Special K and Rice Krispies. But I'll tell you, Kellogg's is much broader than cereal. We are also proud makers of other beloved and delicious foods. Products like Pringles, Cheez-It, Pop-Tarts, Eggo, RX Bar, Club and Townhouse Crackers. We also have Nutri-Grain bars and Morningstar Farms vegetarian products. I tell you that because I want you to think about how vast Kellogg's is, and it's very important that you understand that your voice matters to us, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. As was mentioned, I've been with Kellogg's for 28 years. I am often asked, Wilson, why have you been at Kellogg's for 28 years? That's a long time. How does one stay with one company their entire professional career? And I got to tell you, it's a simple answer for me. It is because Kellogg's is a company with a true purpose. It is a company with a why behind what we do. We are not just about making and selling food. We are about taking care of our environment, taking care of our consumers, taking care of our people. I want to share with you Kellogg's vision and purpose. Our vision at Kellogg's is a good and just world where people are not just fed but fulfilled. And our purpose is creating better days and a place at the table for everyone through our trusted food brands. A place at the table. And that's what we're going to talk about today. A very tangible example of how Kellogg's lives these values and lives this purpose is in what we call business employee resource groups, or BERGs. Our business employee resource groups are very important to Kellogg's because they allow us to connect at a deeper level. I, on top of my day job in sales, have the privilege and honor of serving as one of the national co-chairs of Capable. Capable is Kellogg's business employee resource group for employees with disabilities and their supporters. I will tell you, Kellogg's Capable is active in finding ways to make our workplace more inclusive and accessible for our employees with disabilities. A couple of ways we do that. We partner with our facilities to make sure our buildings are accessible and easy to get around in. Thank you. We partner with IT on technology for accessibility for all of our employees. We want our employees to be able to bring their full selves to work, and we try to leverage that. We've made an internal impact through Capable at advocating for enhanced benefits for our employees. Most recently, in the last 2 years, we have improved and enhanced our coverage of hearing aids. And this last year, I'm really proud to say we almost doubled our mental health coverage for all employees of Kellogg's. Within that, we launched a program called Lean on Me. Lean on Me is a program where is a training program where we are certifying Kellogg's employees to be mental health first aid providers. And I will say by the end of this year at Kellogg's, we will have over 200 certified mental health first aiders in our organization. Now, I will tell you, that's internal, and that's really good, and it's great for employees, and I got to tell you, it's a great place to work. Kellogg's is also, and Capable is also committed to taking that same concept to the marketplace and to our products. Our goal is to make our products more inclusive and accessible for anyone, especially those with disabilities. Some of you may, and it was mentioned earlier, our partnership with NSB a few years ago with our Rice Krispie Treats Love Notes. What a great program. Do you remember that? That incorporated Braille stickers as well as re-recordable audio boxes. And that's a great example of us taking that concept of inclusion to our consumers. And that's a great example of Kellogg's living our purpose. Well, that brings me to why I'm here today. I've actually been asked a couple times, why is Kellogg's here? And I got to tell you, it's because we got something exciting to talk about. Today, I am here to give you a sneak peek. It's in a very exciting project that Kellogg's and Capable have been working on for a couple of years. It takes some time sometimes to bring these to market. You may have already heard of Kellogg's collaboration with a company called NaviLens. We originally launched NaviLens technology in Europe a couple of years ago, and it's been really successful. I think a lot of you have already even had the opportunity to engage with the NaviLens technology here at the conference. I know we had examples of packaging in our booth. I see the NaviLens codes on the state signs, which is great. I think there's been more throughout the conference. I even have one on my name badge. If Tim Fallberg is here, I'm not sure if he's here. He may be sitting over in the Wisconsin. Oh, he's right here in front. Tim's been a great partner. He made me my own NaviLens code, which is like a business card that if you see me tonight at the dinner, scan my code and get my contact information. It's fantastic. Love to have you do that. Well, he's been a great partner, and Tim is an educator at the Wisconsin School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and he has really helped us be prepared for this conference and understand the power of NaviLens and what that means for this great group of people. Now, with NaviLens, Code and Apps, what it allows you to do, it allows you to easily find our products on shelves. It'll allow you to hear the product name, ingredients, even allergen information. And we are proud to announce at this year's conference that we will be launching a pilot that incorporates NaviLens code and technology on packaging of 4 of our iconic and beloved cereal brands later this year. You will see NaviLens technology on Kellogg's Corn Flakes, Kellogg's Special K Original, Rice Krispies, and Crispix. And I gotta say, we are most proud of this. I'm very proud to say today that we will be the first company to incorporate this technology on food packaging in the United States. What an exciting time, and we thought this was the perfect avenue to announce that to the public. And we're excited for all of you. Thank you for your engagement, your partnership. Thank you for all you do. A little bit about NaviLens, just so you know, NaviLens is a code it's an optical smart code. So if you've used QR codes, it's similar to a QR code, but it uses a high contrasting colored squares against a black background. What that means is it's much more powerful than a regular QR code. So when you use the free NaviLens Navigo app, you can detect and scan the code. You don't really have to know where the code is. If you point your smartphone's camera in a general direction, it'll pick it up from over 4 feet away. When it's just pointed in a general direction, once it's detected, the NaviLens app will read important product information from the packaging. It'll give you the product name, it'll give you ingredients, it'll give you allergen information that's very important and very needed. What's really cool is this app will also translate into different languages based on the settings on your phone. It will even use sounds and vibrations to direct you to where that box is on the store shelf. How exciting is that? Now, when we launch this, we're gonna put the code on both the front and the side of our box. We're gonna do that on purpose because we want that code to be accessible whether you're walking down the store or down the aisle of your favorite grocery store looking for a box of Corn Flakes, or if you're in your kitchen and you want to prepare a bowl of tasty Special K Original for your breakfast, you'll be able to easily find that box and enjoy that great breakfast that you're looking for. Now with NaviLens, there are 2 different apps. There's NaviLens and NaviLens Go. The NaviLens app is developed for blind users, those who use screen readers on their phones. It will automatically read out the information as that code is detected. The NaviLens Go app is optimized for sighted and low vision users. It will display the information on the screen and give you the option to tap to have it read out. So there's a lot of options for all of our consumers. To that end, if you're going to attend the banquet tonight, we'll be putting table tents on all the tables. On that table tent, there will be a link to the NaviLens Go app, as well as a NaviLens code that you can test it out for real, get used to it, and know that it is coming to grocery shelves in your neighborhood the end of this year. As I close out, I want to share a little bit more about why we're here today. At Kellogg's, we're committed to driving growth through purpose. We do that through what we call our Better Days Global Purpose Platform. Kellogg's Better Days is our promise to advance sustainable and equitable access to food by addressing the intersection of well-being, hunger, sustainability, and equity, diversity, and inclusion. As stated clearly in that, equity, diversity, and inclusion is a core tenet of our Better Days commitment. That promise encompasses our employees, our partners, and our consumers. We believe that everyone deserves a place at our table and should have equitable access to food. Kellogg's also has a very special tie to blindness. You may not know this, but our founder, W.K. Kellogg, went blind later in his life. And after he went blind, he continued to work at Kellogg's. So he was an innovator in that accessibility and being able to continue his work and continue to do great things. In 1930, he established the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. This is a foundation that supports numerous blind causes and continues to make grants to organizations today. It has become one of the top philanthropic foundations in the U.S. And in 1931, the Ann J. Kellogg School was built. This school was built with a purpose of creating an environment where both children with disabilities could be educated under one roof. Mr. Kellogg's was an innovator, and he was an innovator in this space, and then we continue that legacy. Incorporating NaviLens into our packaging continues his legacy, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to continue the legacy of our founder. It builds on his values and is what we need to do to continue growing and being the right kind of partner to our consumers. Our hope today is that this technology will empower even more of our consumers to enjoy our foods. We hope you feel the inclusivity of Kellogg's, and we hope that you know that you have a place at our table. Thank you.
All right.
Want a door prize?
Yeah, we want a door prize. Definitely.
Oh, sorry. Oh, hello there. Let's get $100. We got 75 cash and 25 in gift certificate. How about Guy Kelly of Maryland? Guy Kelly, are you there, Guy? How about Linda Disney of Utah? Linda Disney of Utah.
Should have given away some Rice Krispie treats or something.
Yeah. How about Scott Duncan of Texas? Are you there? How about Ellen Thomas of Alabama?
Who's left in here?
How about Lucas Seminaire, I guess it is, of Texas? Come on, Texas, they're still not here. I know it's a big state, but, you know, let's go. How about Dr. Carolyn Peters of Ohio? Well, all right, how about Sean Whalen of Wisconsin? You gotta be here. I guess we're not gonna be able to give all this money away we got up here, but let's see. How about Jim Soul of Arizona? Bet he's here. Yeah, he's here. All right.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
If I could have your attention, please, for some announcements. We have the Chairman of Convention Arrangements, John Berggren.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're just hours away from the banquet. I hope everybody's got their banquet ticket. Everybody has an exchanged banquet ticket. There are some important things to keep in mind. While it has been 3 years since we've done this, there are some things I am confident you remember. Perhaps most importantly is the fact that we have to make way for the hotel's ballroom banquet team. They have to strike 2,200 chairs and set 135 tables and place 1,350 salads. So in order to help them, we need to clear this room very quickly, very quickly. When that gavel falls, we have 3 simple instructions, and I think most of you remember what they are. Stand up, turn around, and head for those doors. Now, we do have some guidance based on where you are heading when you leave the ballroom tonight. For those of you in the quarter towers, most of you, we would recommend that you walk the long way out of the ballroom and head into the Acadia foyer. We will have 2 paths for you to follow. There will be an opportunity to take the elevators on the left, the quarter tower elevators. We strongly encourage that folks allow wheelchairs to take advantage of the elevator lobby so they can get up to their rooms. We will also be directing folks down the escalators where they can also pick up the quarter tower elevators. If you are in the river tower, I would encourage you to head out the back doors of the ballroom. There is a long hallway that extends the length of our ballroom. When you get to Salon E, and if you registered in those first couple of days of convention, you will have been in Salon E already. When you walk through Salon E, it deposits you just next to the escalators and kitty corner to the River Tower elevators. It is a wide room. There should be plenty of space for everyone to make their way quickly to the elevators. Now, elevators. In the past, those of you who are banquet veterans, banquet elevator veterans in particular, will know that we have operated some or all of the elevators in a way that they go only to certain floors. This means you will not have to press elevator buttons to get you to your floor. We will be loading elevators in each of the lobbies that will take you to high floors or low floors in each of the towers, and we will be stopping at the floors that everyone needs so that we have no wasted effort getting to floors that someone accidentally called for. We'll make sure that we hit the right floors. Once it gets to be, once we've got everybody up to their rooms, we're going to then reverse that process. Certain elevators will stop only at certain floors so we can get everybody down here in a quick fashion. Now, a little bit more about departure. When the gavel falls and you stand up, turn around, and head for the door, that is not the point at which you look to see if you can find your cell phone. It's not the point at which you start bundling together all of your knitting. It's not the point at which you have a conversation with your friend to see if you still have time to get a drink at the bar. You need to be ready to head for the door when the gavel falls. So I ask you to be a little proactive and begin to collect your belongings before that gavel falls. Now, when we come back down, again, I would encourage our wheelchair users, those who have other mobility means, to arrive early. 6:15 is not too early. That will get you a spot close to the door. We'll make sure that you get priority seating. We will get you to your table. We will swap out your chair if you would like to remain in your wheelchair, or we'll find a place along the wall for your wheelchair after you've gotten into your banquet seat. At 6:45, or as soon as the hotel is ready for us, we will open doors to let the rest of the crowd come in. And I'm just a heads up, 6:15 is not the time when we will seat wheelchairs. It's when we'd like you here to make sure that you're at the front of the line. As soon as those doors are ready, we will begin seating first wheelchairs and then everyone. I would encourage folks who have banquet seats between 1 and 40 to use the Acadia foyer ballroom doors. Those are the doors down by Alabama and Arkansas. If you are further up in the numerical tables, you're going to travel farther and farther down the hallway that runs behind the ballroom. This is the hall that runs between salons A, D, E, and H, and the ballroom here. And you can come in those doors, and we'll help you get to your seats. Now we're going to need to make a couple of last-minute adjustments. We have plenty of seats in the ballroom for everyone to sit. We may surprise you with a last-minute table adjustment, but by and large, your tickets are going to be where you were sitting. So I look forward to a fantastic banquet and a smooth operation of us getting out of the ballroom and a smooth operation of us returning at 7, 6:15 or 6:30 actually. Now, I will remind you, we're going to fill those get everyone seated as quickly as possible so we can start the program. That means probably shortly after 7, when we have the vast majority of the crowd seated, we're going to shift to open seating. So if you've waited too long for your elevator and arrived late, there's a chance that there will be someone sitting in your seat. Doesn't mean you won't have a place to sit, but it may not be the seat you were hoping to use. So I encourage you to get down here with plenty of time, and I look forward to enjoying a banquet with all of you here. I think that's my report, President Cabana.
Thank you very much, John, and I encourage everybody to harness their most inner patience. I know it's been 3 years, but we've done this many times, right? The hotel is always amazed when we execute it. So just remember, we're all going to get there. Let's work together. We have 3 more presentations, though, so I want to get right to it. The next one is Engineering a New Response. And we've discussed extensively at this convention our disappointment with the initial government announcement about the at-home COVID testing program. But from January 3 forward, from the beginning, we have been very clear with the administration of all the tools that we have to compel the government to get it right. We want to be a partner. We want to help get this right for all at-home testing in the future. And when we did get the attention of the government, our experience has been, especially with the leadership at the National Institutes of Health, they've said, you know what? We did this quickly. We didn't get it right on accessibility, but we are going to nail this going forward. And here's what I want to say about that. You may not realize that at-home COVID testing is changing the nature of at-home testing forever. In the month of February alone, more Americans took at-home COVID tests in that month than took at-home pregnancy tests in all of 2021. That means this is a big opportunity to innovate. And I think we should really be focused on the fact that the government, and especially the leadership at NIH, has rallied to our call for equal access. And not only that, they have called on us, the National Federation of the Blind, to be a trusted expert in helping them get it right. And so I'm really excited to have with us at this convention the Deputy Director of the National Institutes of Health, Biomedical, Imaging, and Bioengineering program. I talked about it extensively in our presidential report. Please welcome Dr. Jill Heemskerk.
I'm really wondering what to make of that intro music. You guys are a hoot. Yes, so thank you for that nice introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. I am Jill Heemskerk, Deputy Director of, we'll say, NIBIB. You heard the full name, and it's a mouthful, but really what we are is the Engineering Institute at the National Institutes of Health. The NIH is one of the largest, is actually the largest funder of biomedical research in the world, and funds most of the research done at universities, small businesses, and research institutions in this country. It's actually made up of 27 different institutes and centers, and you know at least one because Dr. Tony Fauci runs the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. That's one of the biggest NIH institutes. Engineering is a smaller one, but we're mighty. We're small but mighty. And when the pandemic started, Congress gave the NIH a lot of money to develop new vaccines, new treatments, and new tests for COVID. The Engineering Institute, our institute, NIBIB, was charged with developing COVID tests, which is a perfect role for the engineering community. And you'll remember at the beginning of the pandemic how very hard it was to get a COVID test, and then once you got your test, how long it took to get the results back. Yeah, that's right, you couldn't even get them. I'm going to tell you today about a program we started called RADx, and RADx stands for Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics. And we've been tremendously successful in delivering about half of the diagnostics that are performed in the country now, not only in laboratories, but also at the point of care in doctors' offices and clinics, and the home tests that we all are so grateful to have. But really the big story today is our partnership with NFB to make home tests more accessible for people with blindness and low vision. So as we just heard, when the government started distributing free tests to people in the country early this year, NFB and other advocacy groups quickly did some very important and very effective outreach to the government. And they pointed out that while it's great to have tests in the country, the tests that we have are not accessible to people with blindness and low vision and other disabilities. And we completely agree and recognize that everybody needs tests that can be taken easily, independently, and confidentially. And so I'm going to tell you today about a RADx effort to make accessible tests a reality. I'm going to first, though, describe the RADx program because it's unique and it's quite a powerful process for accelerating research and development. NIBIB received funding from Congress for COVID tests because we already had a network in place since 2007 that was developing point-of-care tests and home tests for lots of different diseases and conditions. We quickly expanded that network in April of 2020 to focus on COVID test development. We had 4 academic centers at the time and a coordinating center called CIMMIT at Mass General Hospital. And what we did was we established new core resources to validate tests, conduct clinical studies that the FDA needs for authorization, and we set up one resource that is truly unique at NIH called the Deployment Core at CIMMIT, which has all of the expertise in-house to get tests from the idea stage all the way out to the market. And what we did is provide much more than funding to these manufacturers. We provided this wraparound support to the companies developing tests that managed issues around supply chain, manufacturing, FDA authorization. We helped them solve every problem in getting an entirely new kind of test to the marketplace. And the experts in the Deployment Corps have spent the last 2 years working with over 900 experts from multiple sectors to create an entirely new ecosystem of at-home and point-of-care tests in the US. We started with a broad call for technology solutions as soon as we got the money in April, and this really galvanized the engineering community. We were amazed that we attracted 824 separate proposals for tests. Oh. Thank you. From companies and academic institutions. And to deal with this onslaught of applications and proposals, we set up a fast-moving pipeline to evaluate the tests and figure out which were the most important ones to support. We developed a unique process for NIH that almost resembles a venture capital approach. We started off with a viability assessment, and then proposals that looked promising entered what we were calling the Shark Tank phase, where a team of experts worked closely with the companies over 1 or 2 weeks to look at all their data and their capabilities, and we examined all the aspects of the technology, the technical, the clinical, the regulatory, and the plans for manufacturing. And so we had a very good sense of which of these test proposals were the most promising. And we moved those into phase 1, which was sort of a de-risking. Try to make the test, try to validate the test. We helped with that. And those that were successful moved to phase 2, where there was a very large-scale investment to get the clinical studies done for the FDA and to scale up the tests for the marketplace. And this novel hands-on process has proved to be tremendously successful, and we actually reduced what is typically a 6-month test development timeline down to as little as 6 months. So what have we accomplished so far? We have delivered 2.6 billion tests to the United States. That's billion with a B. For comparison, last year in the US, there were 9,000 pregnancy tests taken. So that is just a completely different scale. These tests include not only laboratory, but point of care and home tests, and represent about half of the tests that are available in the US now. We have supported tests all the way to FDA authorization. We have 44 FDA authorizations under our belt, including 10 for at-home tests. And we've got more on the way. In this process, we've worked with more than 100 manufacturers, and we're relying on our relationships with these companies to help in our now effort to develop more accessible tests for people with blindness and disabilities. We're still actively working and developing new tests and continuing with this successful pipeline. Central to this meeting, of course, is developing tests that can be used independently by people with blindness and low vision. But we plan now that accessibility will be built into all of our development efforts, including efforts to develop at-home tests that are as reliable as lab tests. We also would like to broaden our efforts to other diseases, for example, respiratory infections like flu and RSV. And we'd like to spur innovation in the cost drivers for tests and get tests to the market that are not only accessible, but cost as little as $5 a test. So, thank you. So, and it's funny to look back at the start of this project. I thought if we could just have a COVID test that was like a pregnancy test, that would be great. We'd be done. And then we get to that point and we realize, oh, they're not accessible, they're not affordable, they're not very sensitive. So there's still a lot to be done. And that is where the partnership with NFB comes in. Once the NFB and other groups reached out to the government about the importance of accessible tests, the first thing we did in RADx was to organize a listening session. Actually, that was the second thing we did. The first thing we did was regret that we had not had accessibility built in at the outset. We set up a listening session so that we could talk to the users and understand the challenges in the accessibility of at-home tests. We invited advocates from the disability community, the aging community, and the blind and low vision communities. The important, beyond just listening, the important goal here was to set up relationships that we could so that we could integrate these users into what we knew was going to be an ongoing process to develop tests. We did not want to have a single engagement and then go from there. We wanted to have active partners, and I have to say that NFB has been incredibly generous with their time and education and resources. We also invited the six of the federal agencies that have accessibility as part of their mission, including multiple institutes from NIH, the CDC, FDA, the Administration for Community Living, the National Council on Disability, and the U.S. Access Board. And we had at this meeting 3 breakout sessions, 1 blind and low vision, 1 fine motor impairment, and 1 for older adults. And it was incredibly revealing for us to hear about things that we had not even considered, incredibly valuable. And one thing that we did notice was that these groups, in their separate breakout groups, often came up with the same challenges, regardless of what the challenge was, and they were actually challenges that we all have with these tests. The instructions was a big one. Small print, complicated, few language options, no Braille at all, and often no simple step-by-step instructions. The boxes were difficult because there's no scannable identifiers, so you have a box and you don't know what's in it, you don't know what instructions to look for. The test procedure itself is challenging to truly almost everybody. There are too many steps in these processes. The need to count drops of fluid and aim into a tiny hole on the device, multiple little small parts in the box, and instructions that say things like, put the drops in the top hole. Well, if you don't know which end of the device is up, you don't know what's the top hole and what's the bottom hole. And I think especially vexing for people with blindness, the repeated instruction not to touch this and not to touch that is just not helpful at all. And then also key for people with blindness is that the result appears often as a little faint line on a strip. There's no simple interpretation that says your test is positive or your test is negative. And although some of the tests work with smartphones, they're not accessible to many people. We learned that as many as 40% of these communities don't have access to cell phones. So we are taking a two-pronged approach here. One prong is the fastest approach, which is to modify existing tests. And the other prong is the best approach, which is a longer-term plan to design accessible tests with accessibility built into the design from the very beginning, which clearly is the preferred approach. We'll be announcing a solicitation for proposals in just a matter of just a few weeks. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about our process for test modification, which we're very engaged and excited about. Illume is a good example of a reasonably accessible test, and that was noted by the NFB in their own accessibility evaluation. In the government, I want to make sure I tell you, the government on covidtest.gov is now making Illume tests available for free to people with blindness and low vision. But even Illume, if you've taken it, has room for improvement. And those improvements is what we want to bring to bear. So our process is a multi-step pipeline where we start with an accessibility evaluation. And then, based on the challenges observed for the particular test, design a prototype. And on the advice of NFB, some of our designers are people with blindness and people with low vision. So it's getting advice from the experts is always the best idea. We then, once we have a prototype designed, we'll move into a user feedback phase. And the users, again, we want to put these in the hands of people with blindness and low vision for them to tell us, did we get it right? And what we plan to do, this is a very high-touch process with lots of user involvement. We're going to go through that process twice. Tests that have gone into the user feedback stage already, we've heard, no, that's not quite what we want. So what we're thinking is that we're going to start with a sort of early prototype, go back to the design stage with the feedback, and then produce a more mature prototype and get feedback again. And we'll do that as many times as we need to get something that is acceptable to the community. And then once we have an agreed upon product, we'll support the companies to start producing those. We identified 24 different tests for this initial evaluation, and 12 look very amenable to modification, and they've moved on into this prototype design phase. And our goal is to have more accessible tests being produced as early as this fall. We've had a lot of good news in this process already. The first piece of good news we got was that as we reach out to the companies making these tests and tell them what we're doing, they've been saying, that's great. Do this as quickly as possible. We're developing tests for other things. We want to know how to make them accessible. So they're very eager for the feedback and very, very eager for to start producing more accessible tests. They see a huge benefit in this. We even had a company start making modifications before we got all the user feedback in, and we had to tell them to slow down. They were so eager. The other very gratifying news is that we have always collaborated closely with the FDA on our RADx program, and they are also very excited about this and prepared to advise and accelerate the process. Any changes we make to the tests are going to have to go through FDA review, and they're going to need data that tells them that the changes made don't do anything to make the test unsuccessful. So even something as simple as changing the instructions is going to take probably 3 months before there's a new product on the shelves. There are two other elements of the accessibility initiative that I wanted to mention. One is really focused on the instructions, because 2/3 of our recommendations from the accessibility review have been about the instructions. So we've set up a separate fast track process that can benefit all of the marketed tests. We'd like to develop a general format that all companies can use that is simplified, has larger type, has a new layout, and we will make this available so that any company, whether they're working with us or not, as they're developing their instructions, can use this template. And for web accessible instructions, we are addressing packaging for rapid access to the relevant instructions, such as QR codes. And I was really interested to hear what Kellogg has. That you could do that from 4 feet away is brilliant. The FDA is poised to help, as I said, and they will review the new instructions after all the users have agreed that the instructions are now actually helpful. The other effort that we're doing is a best practices effort, because what we'd like is for the work that we're doing to benefit all test manufacturing. As now home tests are commonplace because of COVID, there are going to be home tests for other conditions and disorders, glucose tests, pregnancy tests, flu tests, other diseases. And we want there to be a set of best practice guidelines available to the manufacturers so that they can develop them with accessibility in mind from the outset. So in conclusion, everybody at RADx is really excited about this initiative. We recognize that accessibility improvements will benefit everybody, and we're very grateful to the NFB for their role in not only stimulating this work, but for their ongoing support and advice as we work together to create accessible COVID tests. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and we will continue to be partners with you in this journey. So thank you so much for the work of the NIH in this area. Let's have a door prize.
Yeah, let's do that. And we're going to have Robin Mayer from New York and Joseph Thompson from Idaho, our virtual, and if they go send a email to prize@nfb.org within 30 minutes, they'll get gift certificates from the Independence Market. And now we have the first of a lot of money. We got the next prize is $250 in cash. Oh, Hindley Williams of Maryland. Are you here? Well, if he's upstairs, he's not here, right? All right, next. How about Patricia Maurer of Maryland?
She's not in the room.
Oh, okay, well. How about Michael Powell of Michigan? Got him, we got him. You want another one?
No.
Just say
We
it.
got 2 more presentations. We will get more door prizes in, though. We will get more, but we got a tight timeline here. Okay, so we have talked during this convention about the difficulties in getting the support through the courts of this nation for the viewpoints that we hold about disability and equal access. One reason that we struggle with the courts is that when you look at the judiciary system, especially at the federal level, you don't see any people who exhibit the qualities that we have, especially as it relates to disability. In fact, you might think by the folks that are serving on the bench that America doesn't have any people with disabilities. Well, our speaker here is a blind person, and he's serving in a significant position in the court. He's doing so in the state of Michigan. He's bringing his lived experience to the effort, of course. You'll recall that in our lead up to the 2020 elections, one of the states we worked in is in Michigan on accessible voting. And, you know, blind people face trouble with voting all the time. But when one of the blind people who has trouble voting is a justice to the state Supreme Court, it gets a lot of people's attention. And so don't think that just because he serves in a significant position, he's immune from the problems that blind people have. He's still a blind person, and he brings that authenticity, that lived experience to the work he does every day, and it drives his passion. And he uses his legal talents to advance our nation, but also through his lived experience, our cause as blind people. He has come to our convention. We're glad to have him, and he is someone who I think is at this convention for the first time. Here's the Honorable Richard Bernstein.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I got a call a short time ago. Indeed. And it was a call that probably many of you have had, and a conversation that many of you had. It was a wonderful young prosecutor. And he told me, I love practicing law, I love being a prosecutor, and the thing that I want to do more than anything is to serve as a judge. But I went before the committee. They told him, you have all the qualifications. You would be an outstanding judge. But we simply can't take you because you're blind. In what other situation, what other group would that be okay? To say to somebody, the only reason you can't have this job, the only reason you can't be promoted, the only reason you can't have advancement is solely and exclusively because of the way that God made you and the way that you were ultimately created. I am certain that every single person in this room, throughout their educational process or at their workplace, has had to contend with that self-appointed expert that feels that they know everything about blindness when they have no knowledge, no training, no expertise. But yet so often in our workplaces, we have to be subservient to this mindset and to these types of people. And I would venture to say that even in our social lives, blindness will always play a role. It's always so funny that as you're growing up, people will say, I found the perfect girl for you. And I'll say, oh, that's great. Tell me all about her. And they'll say, oh, she's blind. And I'll say, what else? Well, she's blind. And that's it. She's blind. She's perfect for you because she is blind. You know, it's interesting. We as blind people have to contend with so much. It is always the same people who feel that we aren't capable of handling certain jobs or doing certain things. And yet these are the same people that will always say things to you like, oh, have you read about this blind guy that climbed Mount Everest? And as wonderful and as amazing as that is, we don't all climb Mount Everest. And the irony that so many of us who are blind have to contend with and have to face each and every day is this paradox. That when we try to go for employment, when we try to go for jobs, people have this natural instinct to exclude us because they can't believe the fact that we can actually perform the duties that are before us. But then at the same time, there are these ridiculous expectations that they feel that we have to meet because they always know about that one blind guy. There's this one blind guy that I know, and he does all these things. And so we get compared to people in an unrealistic fashion. And I think the reason that I am so excited to be a part of the NFB is thank God for this organization. Thank God for its work. Thank God for its efforts. But most importantly, thank God for its advocacy. Because it is people like the NFB who are making life better for each and every one of us. They're not out exploiting us, they're out advocating for us. They are dedicated to doing the types of things that make our life better. You know, listen, for all of us who are here today, whether you were born blind or whether you're in a more challenging situation where you have lost your vision suddenly and are now having to learn how to be blind, there are real challenges that come with blindness. There are real difficulties that come with blindness. It is something that we have to contend with and live with and experience each and every day. And yes, there are so many people that are out doing extraordinary things, and that is fantastic, but what we have to focus on are the basics. We have to focus on the fact that according to the census, over 80% of our population is currently unemployed. Now that is not because we are not capable. That is not because we are not talented. That is not because we are not hardworking. It is solely and exclusively socioeconomic, which is exacerbated by our disabilities. You know, I want to be very direct because I think it's important. The worst thing that someone can stand up here and say, which I find to be infuriating, is when someone stands up and says, well, if I can do it, you can do it. That is so outrageous and so offensive and so arrogant, because ultimately what we know here at the NFB is that every one of us has our own story. Every one of us has our own unique experience. And I just like to be honest, direct. That's just my nature as a judge. You just say it honestly and directly to people. Let's just put it out there. If I had not been born and blessed to come from the family that I come from, where I had the absolute best of everything, I had the best of schools, I had the best of teachers, I had literally the best of everything because my family was able to provide that. But if I hadn't been given those advantages, those unbelievable socioeconomic advantages, there is no question that I would be part of the 80% who is currently unemployed and having to struggle. So I think the idea of this conference and the idea as to why we gather and as to why we are together is because the NFB represents the reality of the world. And the NFB represents the reality of what blind people have to face and contend with each and every day. But I don't have a lot of time to be with you today because you've got some extraordinary speakers, but I'm hoping that we will have much more time in the future. But there's a certain thing that I really do want to highlight and I really do believe needs to be focused. When people say, like they said to this young prosecutor, that being a judge is simply unattainable for you because how can you do this if you can't see? They are missing the most important element of this. What makes a good judge is not your academics, it's not your intellectualism, it's not your ability to research and to write and to publish, and it is certainly not your ability to see. What makes a good judge, what makes a good leader, is what every single person in this audience has. It is life experience. Everyone here today understands what it means to truly have to struggle. Everyone in this room understands what it feels like to be left out. Everyone in this room understands the general feeling you have when people discriminate against you for something that is beyond your control. The reason that the NFB has to be loud, the reason that the NFB has to be active, the reason that the NFB has to be engaged is because often is the case, when you ask what makes a good judge, when you ask what makes a good lawyer, when you ask what makes a good doctor, when you ask what makes a good professional, when you ask what makes a good person, it is solely and exclusively the notion of living with struggle, understanding struggle, understanding adversity. But here's what I want to say to everybody who is here at this conference. This is the notion. If you learn to live with struggle, and you learn to face adversity like everybody has here today, you can live your life with passion. You can live your life with purpose. You can live your life with meaning. You can live your life with a sense of mission that will allow for you to transform and do nothing less than change the world in which we know. You're here because you have that passion. You're here because you have that mission. You're here because you understand why you were ultimately created. We're a powerful organization, for we are a powerful people. And when we go forth into society and into the world at large, and people give us opportunities, they are not doing it out of charity. They are doing it because we add to their organization. They are doing it because we teach people the lesson of resilience. We teach people the lesson of strength. We teach people the lesson of struggle. We teach people the lesson of mission and purpose. And I conclude with my favorite biblical story that goes to the essence and to the heart of why we are here and why we are so dedicated to doing what we do. It is a story of the angel coming upon Jacob deep into the night. And as the Bible teaches us, there existed an immense battle. And the battle raged until the dawn. And when the sun rose, the angel blessed Jacob and gave him a new name, the name of Israel, which translates to mean one who struggles with God. But as Scripture teaches us, Jacob was not left uninjured, for after the struggle, he was given a shattered hip. He would walk with a limp, and he would know great pain for the remainder of his days. I believe that Scripture teaches us this valuable lesson because it was only through Jacob's struggle, it was only through his setback, and it was only through his frustration that he was able to connect, appreciate, and understand the challenges and the hardships of his fellow man. And it was only through that ability that he was able to become a leader and the father of a nation. Let us go forth and take our struggle, find our passion, and continue to do what we do as blind people, make the world better for everybody.
Thank you, Justice Bernstein. From time to time, we are invited to support candidates for various, or individuals for various positions. And recently, we have signed letters of support for individuals with disabilities to serve on the federal bench. And one of them is Justice Bernstein, and we hope that the administration will appoint him to the federal bench so we finally have a blind person serving there who can represent us in our stories.
Yeah. We have a door prize.
Go for it.
$250 for the judge. And it is to Rebecca Mintrone of Florida. Rebecca Mintrone, you better be here.
That door prize is very popular in the People's Court, I think. Yeah.
Tin Fallberg of Wisconsin, are you here? Since Rebecca wasn't.
From Kellogg.
All right, Mackenzie Gray of Nebraska. I love people pushing me on. All right, here we go. Tom Page of Kansas.
Oh.
You got to be here.
I think he stepped away.
I guess we turn the page then.
Yeah.
Michaela Baca of Louisiana. Baca. Okay. How about Jack Bach of Wisconsin? Well, how about Jeremy Cooperstock of Canada? All right, here we go. We got to have this person. Sabrina Washington of Maryland. Are you here? Sabrina Washington of Maryland. From my state to yours, I guess she's not here.
No,
okay.
No.
All right, how about Matthew Hines of Washington? Matthew Hines, are you here? Not here. Calvin Thompson of North Carolina. Oh my goodness. Travis Moses, Montana. Lynn Heights of Pennsylvania. I bet you she's here. Got her.
Okay, excellent. Our next and final presenter for this afternoon is in line. We got you, it's coming, calm down. With the theme that we've been sharing through much of this convention about sharing our stories. She's a longtime Federation member, and some of you have worked alongside of her in the movement for decades, while others of you may simply only know her for the work that she's done as the Blind History Lady. In 2018, we awarded her efforts with our Jacob Bolotin Award for her work to preserve the stories, the individual stories that have contributed to our shared movement. Earlier in this convention, I have called each and every one of us to action around the Museum of the Blind People's Movement. And she has been helping us with the feasibility work to get ready for a museum and to talk about how we collect stories. This movement is grateful to her for what she has done to champion the preservation of the individual stories of blind people and how those blind people have come together to create a movement of blind people. Here to share the importance of our stories is the blind history lady, Peggy Chong.
Everybody's got a tale of how to chase a great white whale. Some succeeded, some just failed. Trying's what you got to do. 'Cause in the trying to feel you flying, the whole wide world's beneath your line. It's you, it's true, there's no denying. There's a hero in you.
Thank you, President Riccobono, and hello to all of my Federation friends and family. To own our own story, to tell our own story, that is so powerful and it is so rare. If you go on the internet, if you go to a library, if you go to state archives, and you ask for the information on blindness, you get governmental reports, university studies, home teacher reports, and they tell just a small portion of the lives of blind people, and mostly not in the most favorable light. The Tenbrook Library has a lot of information in that library, but it's a lot of puzzle pieces. When you go to the state archives and pull the reports on the Home for the Blind or the Asylum for the Blind, you have a puzzle with corners, edges, and finite puzzles. Our history is a puzzle, and it has a lot of missing pieces, and it's up to us to find those pieces. We are up to the task. We have old records in our files, in our basements, in our closets. We have the children of our blind ancestors who have gone on that probably have mom and dad's or grandma or grandpa's old Braille books that they can't read, their notebooks, their diaries, their scrapbooks. We should gather them up and collect them. And we might not really understand what is in those puzzle pieces that we are bringing to the Tenbrook Library that's going to be the basis for telling our stories through this history of the movement of museum. But what we will have are other pieces to go with it. Let me tell you some about my gathering of puzzle pieces. About 40 years ago, and it seems so strange to say that, about 40 years ago, I got the opportunity to clean out the files at the Home for the Blind in Minnesota. It was a treasure trove of paper, old paper, news clippings, letters, correspondence, minutes, books. And we were moving into much smaller spaces. Most of it had to go. I tell you, I regret throwing every piece of paper out today. When I was going through those letters and artifacts that didn't have anything to do with the minute books, every once in a while I'd stop and read something. I read a letter that really made me stop and say, whoa, what have we got here? Because it talked about meeting with our blind congressman over the Robbins bill. Well, I didn't know what the Robbins bill was at the time, and I kept looking for the name of that blind congressman, and it wasn't there. So I had a puzzle piece that needed a whole bunch of more pieces to go around it. I took that puzzle piece and set it aside. I found another puzzle piece from the 1920s, again regarding the Robbins bill, and they were reaching out to a blind man in Nebraska named F. Edgecombe, and asking that he help, use his influence to help with the Robbins bill. Well, how did this blind guy, F. Edgecombe, have influence? Who was he? I set that puzzle piece aside. I did find out that that congressman was Thomas David Shaw, who went on to the US Senate and had tried several times to introduce legislation regarding blindness. Frank Edgecombe was the blind man from Geneva, Nebraska, who set up a newspaper empire. And by the way, his great-grandchildren are still running it today. So he left a long legacy. The reason they asked Frank Edgecombe to help was because he was involved in the National Republican Party, not just at the state level, but at a national level, and had an opportunity to talk to Republicans across the country. I'm digging around in the 1930s information, and I come across correspondence regarding the Pennsylvania affiliate. Wasn't yet an affiliate, but it would be soon. They had sent a blind man to Congress by the name of Matthew Dunn, and the blind people sent him to Congress because there was a lot of changes going on. The Social Security program was being developed. It was going to impact blind people. A blind person should have some say in how it was developed. The same with the federalization of rehabilitation. So I learned about Matthew Dunn. I set those puzzle pieces aside. I took all my puzzle pieces and moved. I've done a lot of that. I took my puzzle pieces and I moved to Iowa. And in Iowa, I found a whole bunch of puzzle pieces. And those puzzle pieces were fairly well filled in from about 1860 to about 1930. They highlighted how graduates of the Iowa College for the Blind could go to Nebraska, North Dakota. That was way out west by that time. That was when the West was expanding, North Dakota. And they could get teaching positions because no one wanted to go to North Dakota and teach. But as people came to North Dakota, and it wasn't just open prairie land, there were actually towns and houses and churches and schools. More sighted folks came who had qualifications to be a teacher, and pretty soon the blind teachers' contracts were not renewed. So they went off to other occupations, such as piano tuning, owning their own businesses, building houses, being musicians. There was a graduate of the Iowa College for the Blind who went off to law school. She graduated in 1890 and became one of the first female attorneys in the country, and she was blind. I picked up all my puzzle pieces there and I moved to New Mexico. And I found a whole bunch of puzzle pieces surrounding Pauline Gomez and Albert Gonzalez. Pauline Gomez graduated from college in the 1940s. She wanted to be a teacher. She was well qualified, but no one would hire her. Pauline decided if no one would hire her, she'd hire her. So out of the back of her home, she opened up the very first kindergarten in the state of New Mexico. Through her family connections, she had the opportunity to educate a lot of the young children from some of the most prominent families in Santa Fe. When New Mexico wanted to have a kindergarten program for all of the 5-year-olds in the state of New Mexico, they went to Pauline. Pauline pretty much wrote the curriculum for the first kindergartens classes that were ever taught in New Mexico. She had an impact on who would be hired, what the qualifications were for teachers, how the classrooms should be set up, and so on. It was Pauline who built the framework for the kindergarteners of New Mexico. Albert Gonzalez was blind from his youth. He served in the state legislature in the 1940s. He didn't really know any other blind guys, but he knew times were not good for blind guys in New Mexico. He tried to have legislation passed for a commission for the blind, brought out Helen Keller and all that good stuff. It went nowhere. He was a lawyer and he enjoyed being a lawyer. However, his children tell me that he didn't usually get paid in greenbacks. He got paid in chickens and chilies, fruits, vegetables, occasionally a piece of land, but lots of potatoes. When he did get paid, he invested his money into land, buildings, and businesses that allowed his law practice to continue up until his death. Both Pauline and Albert left correspondence, news articles, they left the state newsletter behind to tell us a lot more about themselves, the things that they were doing, but they also shared with us in those papers what some of the other blind folks were doing. Again, more puzzle pieces to find that didn't have matching pieces. I picked up my puzzle pieces and I moved to Colorado. Yeah. And in the basement of the CCB were all sorts of puzzle pieces. Unfortunately, a lot of them were handwritten, dating back to about 1915, so not really accessible. However, we are almost finished with our preservation of historical documents that we have digitized and had them transcribed into accessible files that pretty soon any library or any person who wants to go on some internet libraries, of which I'll have details later on, will be able to access the Colorado's history of blindness, the history of the movement of blind people in Colorado. And that is so exciting. In those files, there was a big push all across the state by specifically 5 individuals who had put together the Relief Act for the blind that would provide for consistent funding for blind people who were on welfare. And it also set the foundation for the Commission for the Blind. Now, the records told us more about 2 of those people. One is still being researched, but 2 of those folks I looked at and found that one of them was a seating state representative. James Downing was in the legislature because he had been a very successful attorney working for the mining companies up in Aspen, made a lot of money. He went blind around 1910, and all his money could not buy him any services, any training, any education on how to be a blind person. So he decided he would go to the state legislature and he would create those laws. He didn't really know what he was going to do exactly, but then he met up with the members of the United Workers for the Blind, which became an affiliate of the NFB in 1941, and met another person, Elias M. Ammons. Now, I thought, gosh, that name sounds awful familiar because there's Ammons Way and Ammons Drive and there's Ammons this all over Colorado. There's got to be a reason that man is famous. He must be famous. I checked him out. He was governor of Colorado in 1913 to 1915. So was he a sighted guy? Was there a blind governor? There didn't seem to be a blind governor. More puzzle pieces. In my research outside of our files, I found that Elias M. Ammons served in the State House and in the State Senate. He wasn't blind. He didn't identify as a blind person because back then, if you were blind, you didn't see anything. But he had to have a reader in order to conduct his business. That was important to him, and he actually, when he was a senator, that was part of his office, as the Senate actually appointed him a reader. He had a secretary and sometimes used a guide. He wasn't a very good traveler, but he also found a lot of people who told him a lot more information about some of the legislation when they were helping him find where he needed to go. So he sort of thought that striking out on his own and facing the possibility of getting lost would also be a very profitable opportunity for him to learn more about the legislation he was supporting or not supporting. So Elias Ammons, sorry, New York, I believe Colorado had the first blind governor in the United States. His family tells me, his descendants tell me that by the time he was governor, he did not recognize people who walked into the office until they spoke to him. So he definitely did not have any reading vision for at least 20 years before he became governor at all. He also had this huge funeral that was just absolutely wonderful. But there's still more pieces of the puzzles missing and needing to have all these pieces put together. Our puzzle doesn't have corner pieces and it doesn't have edges. It's a multi-dimensional puzzle that keeps growing and growing and growing. We have heard this week about winning the, breaking the record for the fastest person driving blindfolded. Dan has contributed a lot of audio and video and written documents and artifacts for the Tenbrook Library. But I want to know, aside from the judge, who does not remember Eric Weinmeier? Okay, let me tell you, he's a generation back. Eric Weinmeier was a blind man from Colorado, by the way, that the NFB supported, and he climbed Mount Everest, the first blind man to climb Mount Everest. We have audio and video, and we have written documents, and we have artifacts from that climb, and they're going to be a great part of our museum. But again, if we don't keep telling the stories, we don't have that grandma that tells us every Thanksgiving about how she had to walk to school uphill both ways in the snowstorm for 6 months out of the year. We don't have that family member to tell us that over and over again. We have this opportunity to have this museum and tell our story our way, from our point of view. And we need you to collect the pieces. We talked about Dr. Bolotin today, Jacob Bolotin. There's a lot of other information surrounding Jacob Bolotin that make it really interesting to study that time in place in Chicago, because he was one of 3 blind doctors at that time in Chicago. The other 2 being Robert Babcock and George Dobbins. And why was there 3? And how come there's no one out there anymore in Chicago who's a doctor? Those stories need to be told, because as soon as our ancestors go away, as soon as we stop doing what we are doing, society forgets and they go back to the stereotypes and the fears. So let's all collect our puzzle pieces and bring them to the Tenbrook Library so that we can contribute them to the history of the Blind Movement Museum and tell our story our way. Even if you're not really sure who that person is, we'll find another puzzle piece to go with it. So this is the time, and we have the place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to the blind history lady. Now don't forget, who tells our stories? Who tells our stories? That's right. So join the blind history lady in putting the puzzle together. Bennett, I don't know why you don't give a door prize.
Yeah, who wins our door prizes? How about Arthur Graham of Michigan?
How many door prizes you got,
250. Oh, too many. We've.
How many are you going to give away?
I've got at least 6.
Oh my gosh. Well, hurry up.
We're going to do it
faster the better.
Who's next?
Go.
Tanya Tehes of where? Of Mississippi. Mississippi. Okay, I'm sorry, I struggle with that one. How about Gloria Woodside of Louisiana? Meredith Gonzalez of Texas. Meredith Gonzalez. How about Wayne Fletcher of Ohio?
Gotta be fast on the draw. Jump up.
Kay Darno of Louisiana. Hey, how about if I double, put two of them together? We'll make it $500.
500 bucks. Yeah. That's a good story to tell.
Next. How about Michael Harris of Utah? We got $500. Next. Robin House of Missouri. You've been called once before, and I don't think we're here. Is he here?
She? Is she here?
She here? Okay.
No.
Oh, how about Roland Allen of Louisiana? No, it's not rigged, Pam.
He's here.
Yeah. So that's he's here.
I'm kind of amazed he's here. He's been doing a lot of work around this convention to make things work. So.
We got another $250 for Jeffrey Wilson of Massachusetts. Nope.
Clock is ticking.
How about Cheryl Rowe of Indiana? How about Joanne Collins Johnson of Georgia? You here? Yep, we got her.
Nice,
all right.
Nice.
Another $250. Kenneth Lanto of Louisiana. Hey, Louisiana deserves it. How about Tyrone Brencher of Maryland?
Tyron Bradshaw.
We're going to make it 500. Bethany Sverda of Arizona. $500 on the line. Kate Paxson of Iowa. Kate Paxson of Iowa. Nope. How about Catherine McKenzie of Louisiana? Catherine McKenzie. Okay, how about Earl Everett of Virginia? Okay, I bet this Desmond Jackson of Maryland. Desmond, are you here? Nope. Barbie Elliott of Utah.
Utah.
Barbie Elliott, Utah. We
She's
got her.
here.
Okay,
we got
good.
Barbie. Congratulations. I think we got time for one more.
We got another for 450. We're combining these things.
Okay, 450.
450. Danielle Turner of Ohio.
Our last door prize before the banquet. Remember, patience for the elevator.
How about Deb Altman of Nebraska? Not here. Wait a minute.
Deb, are you out there?
Okay, we got her, so that's good. Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank the whole crowd of people that have worked with me, and my daughter Elizabeth, who's been my primary reader.
Yeah,
this
let's
year.
give it up for the door prize crew. Okay, we will stand adjourned until the banquet at 7 o'clock.